The laugh echoed through the Golden Oak Steakhouse's dining room like a blast of contempt. Trevor Lawson, the owner of Chicago's most famous restaurant chain, pointed at Marcus Chen with a finger covered in gold rings and declared loudly for all the customers to hear, "Look at this fat guy. I bet he can swallow 10 kilos of prime rib in less than an hour." The surrounding tables froze. Forks stopped in midair. Conversations died. Marcus, 34, remained motionless in the chair where he had just sat with his 8-year-old daughter Emma. He weighed 145 kilos. He wore single-framed glasses. He worked as a chef in a modest restaurant on the other side of the city. Trevor continued, walking between the tables as if he were on stage. "Seriously, guys, this guy must eat my entire stash by himself." He stopped in front of Marcus, leaning over with a cruel smile. "How about a bet, big guy? 10 kilos of meat. You eat it all in 60 minutes, I'll pay you $100,000. But if you lose, you pay everyone's bill here today." Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, let's go." Marcus took a deep breath. His eyes swept the room. Executives in expensive suits, couples on romantic dates, families with children. Everyone looked, some with pity, others disgusted, many with cell phones already recording. Trevor clapped his hands. "Come on, chef, or do you only know how to eat and don't know how to compete?" The restaurant manager appeared next to Trevor, holding a giant cutting board. On top of it, a mountain of undercooked meat still smoking. 10 kilos of prime rib cut into thick slices, covered in coarse salt and black pepper. Marcus looked at his daughter. Emma had tears in her eyes. Then he did something no one expected. He took off his jacket calmly. He rolled up his shirt sleeves. He picked up the cutlery, and he looked straight into Trevor Lawson's eyes. "Put the money on the table now." Trevor blinked in surprise. Then he laughed even louder. "Are you serious?" He took out his wallet, took out a blank check and scribbled $100,000 in gold pen. He threw the paper onto the meat cutting board. "Here you go, fatty. But when you fail, you're going to pay a $12,000 bill for all these guys. I hope you get credit." Marcus didn't respond. He just adjusted his glasses. He looked at the clock on the wall. 7:47 p.m. Someone keeps time. A nervous waiter activated the timer on his cell phone. 60 minutes starting now. Marcus took the first slice, and it started. The hall was completely silent. The only sound was that of forks cutting meat and Marcus's concentrated breathing. Trevor crossed his arms, smiling arrogantly. He can already imagine the public humiliation, the viral video, the jokes. But as the minutes passed, something changed in the air. Marcus ate with technique, no rush, no despair. He cut each piece into exact portions, chewed efficiently. I drank water at calculated intervals. His movements were those of someone who deeply understood food. 5 kilos in 20 minutes. Trevor stopped smiling. "Wait, is this guy serious?" The manager whispered something in his ear. Trevor pushed him away angrily. "It doesn't matter. He will give up." But Marcus didn't give up. 7 kilos in 40 minutes. 8 kilos in 50. People began to get up from their tables, moving closer to get a better look. Emma held her father's hand, smiling now, with pride shining in her eyes. Trevor started to sweat. There were 3 minutes left. There were 800 grams of meat left. Marcus wiped his mouth with his napkin, looked at Trevor, and said in a calm voice, "You should have researched before challenging someone." He stuck his fork into the last slice. The room erupted in applause when the timer reached 57 minutes and 14 seconds. Marcus was done. All meat. 10 full kilos. Trevor was pale. Marcus stood up, wiped his hands, took the check from the table, and folded it calmly in his pocket. Then he leaned towards the millionaire, lowering his voice so that only he could hear. "I'm a chef specializing in eating competitions. I've already won 17 national tournaments. And before opening your luxury restaurant, you should have learned the basics. Never underestimate those who really understand food." Trevor opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Marcus took his daughter's hand and walked towards the exit, while customers clapped and recorded everything. But what no one there knew was that that challenge wasn't just luck, not a coincidence. And Trevor Lawson was about to discover that humiliating the wrong person had a price far greater than $100,000. If you're enjoying this story of turnaround and justice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter. The video already had 47,000 views before Marcus and Emma arrived home. The title flashed on screens all over Chicago. "Fat humiliates millionaire in meat challenge. You won't believe it." Marcus placed Emma on the bed, kissed her forehead, and went down to the kitchen of the rented apartment. 2 bedrooms, simple furniture, bills stacked on the table. He opened the check for $100,000 and placed it under a glass of water, staring at the paper as if it were unreal. But the peace only lasted until the next morning. His phone exploded at 6:37 a.m. Messages, connections, emails, all from the same place, Golden Oak Corporation. The last message was from Trevor Lawson's personal lawyer. "Mr. Chen, the check was canceled for contractual fraud. You did not read the terms of participation. Lawsuit filed. Appear in court Monday, 9 a.m. Attachment, $85,000 fine for damage to corporate image. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, holding his cell phone with shaking hands. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas. Daddy, it is good too? He forced a smile. Everything, darling. Go brush your teeth. But it wasn't okay. 2 hours later, Marcus was back at the Golden Oak, not as a winner, but as a defendant. Trevor Lawson greeted him in his second-floor private office, sitting behind a mahogany desk that looked like it cost more than anything Marcus owned. 2 security guards blocked the door. A lawyer in a gray suit stood next to Trevor, smiling coldly. Welcome back, champion. Trevor spat the word like venom. Did you think you were going to get out of here with my money that easily? Marcus remained standing. I fulfilled the challenge. In front of witnesses, Trevor leaned forward, eyes shining with mischief. You signed a liability waiver when accepting the challenge. It says in bold letters, participation at your own risk. Golden Oak Corporation is not responsible for physical, emotional, or financial damages. You accepted, therefore the check was symbolic. No legal validity. The lawyer pushed a thick folder across the table. Furthermore, Mr. Chen, your participation has caused irreparable damage to Golden Oak's corporate image. Customers reported discomfort. Some canceled reservations. The brand has been associated with public humiliation. We are suing for $85,000 in moral and material damages. Marcus looked at the documents. Every word was a legal trap constructed by someone who knew exactly how to crush ordinary people. You set this up from the beginning, Marcus said, his voice low but firm. I knew I would accept it. I knew I was going to win, and he prepared this ambush to destroy me later. Trevor stood up, walking around the table with his hands in his pockets. Do you know what your problem is, fat man? You think that because you have talent, because you won a stupid bet, that makes you special, but you don't understand how the world works. People like you are entertainment. People like me make the rules. He stopped right in front of Marcus, looking down. And I just taught you the most important lesson of your life. Never challenge anyone who has more money than you. Marcus clenched his fists. His whole body was shaking, but he didn't move. Trevor smiled. Now get out of here before I call the police and tell them you threatened me. Marcus turned and left the office without saying a word, but as he walked down the stairs, something changed in his eyes, because Trevor Lawson had made 3 fatal mistakes. First, he underestimated Marcus Chen for the second time. Second, he didn't know that Marcus had recorded the entire conversation on the cell phone in his pocket. And third, most important of all, he had no idea that Marcus Chen wasn't just a talented chef. Marcus had a past that Trevor would never imagine. A past that involved international competitions, silent contracts with TV networks, powerful contacts, and a name that, 5 years ago, was synonymous with fairness in the American food industry. Marcus walked out of the Golden Oak into the hot Chicago sun, picked up his phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in 3 years. The voice on the other end answered on the second ring. I couldn't believe it when I saw your name on the screen. Marcus Chen, the legendary Iron Stomach, returned from the dead. Marcus looked at the building behind him, at the golden letters shining on the facade. I need you, David. I have a case, and this time it's not about food. There was a pause. Send me the details. If that's what I'm thinking, we're going to make this farmhouse millionaire regret being born. Marcus hung up. He climbed into his old car, started the engine, and drove in silence to the small restaurant where he worked, the Ember Kitchen, a modest place on the south side, where he was just another anonymous chef making honest dishes for honest workers. But what Trevor didn't know, and would soon find out the hard way, was that Marcus Chen had already brought down entire gastronomic empires, and he was about to do it again. Only this time, it wouldn't just be about money, it would be for dignity. And when Marcus Chen fought for dignity, he didn't lose. David Ortega arrived at Marcus's apartment at 10 p.m., carrying 2 aluminum suitcases and a laptop that looked like it cost more than 3 months' rent. He was 41 years old, had gray hair at the temple, and wore a leather jacket that had seen better days. Former TV producer, former food fraud investigator, and currently the man that large corporations paid fortunes not to investigate. But Marcus Chen was different. They had worked together 5 years ago, when Marcus was still known as Iron Stomach, the food competitor who exposed 3 fast food chains for using expired meat in televised competitions. The scandal destroyed careers. Marcus received death threats. He disappeared from the circuit, changed cities, and became just another anonymous chef trying to raise his daughter in peace. But David never forgot. Let me see what you have, David said, opening his laptop on the kitchen table. Marcus showed the cell phone recording. Trevor's voice echoed through the room. People like you are entertainment. People like me make the rules. David smiled slowly. This idiot just dug his own grave. He plugged in a USB device and started typing furiously. First, this recording is gold. Illinois allows unilateral recordings in contexts of fraud or duress. We have a legal basis. Second, I'm going to dig through everything about Trevor Lawson. Taxes, contracts, suppliers, fired employees. Every arrogant millionaire has skeletons in the closet. We just need to find them. Marcus sat next to him, arms crossed. How long? 3 days. Maybe 4. The process is Monday. David stopped typing and looked at Marcus. So we work without sleeping. For the next 72 hours, the apartment became an operations center. David hacked, legally, he insisted, public records of the Golden Oak Corporation. It turned out that Trevor had 15 employment cases filed in the last 2 years. Cooks fired without just cause. Waitresses harassed. A sous chef who broke his arm and was sent away without compensation. Marcus called each of them. The first was Jennifer Reyes, former kitchen manager. She answered suspiciously, but when Marcus mentioned Trevor's name, something changed in his voice. That man is a monster, she said. He fired me because I refused to serve spoiled lobster for a private party. He said I was creating unnecessary problems. I had proof, photos, reports, but his lawyer offered me $15,000 to keep quiet. I needed the money. I have 2 children. Marcus wrote everything down. What if I told you we had a chance to take him down? Silence on the other side. I would enter this war for free. By Saturday night, Marcus and David had 11 depositions, former employees, deceived suppliers, even a former partner that Trevor had kicked out of the company using illegal contract clauses. But there was something more. David found a suspicious transaction in Golden Oak's tax records, $300,000 to $40,000 paid to a shell company called Blue Ridge Consulting. She had no physical address, no registered employees, just a bank account in the Cayman Islands. Money laundering, David muttered. This guy is not just arrogant, he's a criminal. Marcus looked at the screen, eyes shining. Is that enough? To destroy him? Yes. To protect you in court? Also. But there's a problem. Which? David turned the laptop over. Trevor hired Kellerman and Associates. They are the best. They will try to crush you before you even open your mouth. We need someone at the same level. Marcus picked up the phone and dialed a number he had saved for years. The voice that answered was firm, confident, feminine. Marcus Chen, I thought you had died. Almost, Laura, but I'm still here, and I need you. Laura Tan was the lawyer who had defended Marcus in the competition scandal. She was 39 years old, had a ruthless reputation and an 87% record of winning impossible cases. Currently, she worked as an independent consultant, choosing only clients she considered worthy. Tell me everything, she said. Marcus told. The humiliation, the challenge, the canceled check, the legal ambush, the evidence that David found. Laura was silent for 10 seconds. Then she laughed. A short, sharp laugh, full of satisfaction. This Trevor Lawson is really stupid. He gave you everything we need. I accept the case. No upfront fees. When we win, you pay me 20% of the amount recovered. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Monday 9 a.m., Laura said. Put on your best clothes and bring your hacker friend. She hung up. David closed the laptop, looking at Marcus with a smirk. You know what's funny? Trevor thinks you're just a fat guy who got lucky. He doesn't know that you've already taken down people much bigger than him. And he definitely doesn't know that he now has Laura Tan, Sheik's most feared corporate assassin, now by your side. Marcus got up, went to the fridge and grabbed 2 beers. He handed one to David. For justice? David toasted. For revenge, well done. Emma appeared in the bedroom doorway, rubbing her eyes. Daddy? Why are there so many people here? Marcus bent down, hugging his daughter. Just some friends helping Daddy with a job, honey. Go back to bed. She looked at him with those big, serious eyes. You're going to win, right? Marcus kissed her forehead. I go. I promise. When Emma returned to her room, Marcus stood in the silent kitchen, looking out the window at the lights of Chicago twinkling in the distance. Trevor Lawson had made the classic mistake of the powerful. He thought money was armor, that contracts were shields, that expensive lawyers were invincible swords. But what he didn't know, and Monday morning he was going to learn in the most brutal way possible, was that Marcus Chen didn't fight alone. And when a man has justice on his side, evidence in his hands, and nothing to lose, he becomes dangerous, very dangerous. The Chicago courtroom was packed. Trevor Lawson entered at 8:52 a.m. surrounded by 3 lawyers from Kellerman and Associates, $8,000 suit, Patek Philippe watch, confident smile of someone who has never lost a legal battle in their life. Marcus Chen was sitting at the defense table next to Laura Tan. He wore a simple navy blue suit that Laura had borrowed from an old client. David was in the gallery, laptop open, ready to project the evidence. Trevor looked at Marcus and chuckled softly. Did you bring a local lawyer to face me? This will be faster than I imagined. Laura didn't even look up from the documents. Continue underestimating Mr. Lawson. It's what you do best. Judge Harrison Mitchell entered, 62 years old, strict veteran, known for not tolerating legal theater. Ladies and gentlemen, Golden Oak Corporation versus Marcus Chen. Let's get straight to the point. Mr. Lawson, file your complaint. Trevor's chief lawyer, a thin man named Richard Kellerman, stood up with a thick briefcase. Your Honor, our client was the victim of public defamation when the defendant, Marcus Chen, accepted a promotional challenge and turned the event into a corporate humiliation. The video generated 3 million views in 72 hours, causing irreparable damage to the Golden Oak brand. We demand $85,000 in compensation, in addition to the immediate removal of the viral content. The judge looked at Marcus. Mr. Chen, do you have representation? Laura stood up slowly, adjusting her red blazer. Yes, Your Honor. Laura Tan, defense. And we have some surprises for the court. Trevor leaned in to whisper to Kellerman, but Laura was already moving. Your Honor, the indictment omits crucial facts. Trevor Lawson was not humiliated. He created a premeditated trap to extort my client, and we have proof. She nodded to David, who connected the laptop to the projector. The screen lit up. Recording started. Trevor's voice echoed through the room. People like you are entertainment. People like me make the rules. Trevor's face lost color. Kellerman stood up immediately. Objection. This recording was obtained illegally. Laura smiled. Illinois allows unilateral recordings in cases of fraud or duress, Penal Code Section 14-2. My client was being coerced and extorted. The recording is 100% legal. The judge adjusted his glasses. Objection denied. Carry on, Ms. Tan. Laura advanced. But this is just the beginning, Your Honor. We investigated Golden Oak Corporation and discovered a systematic pattern of abuse. I present Exhibit B. 11 testimonies from former employees illegally dismissed, harassed, or coerced into covering up health violations. David projected the names, photos, and excerpts of the testimonies onto the screen. Jennifer Reyes appeared in a video, recorded 2 days earlier. Trevor Lawson forced me to serve bad lobster. When I refused, I was fired. He paid me $15,000 to keep quiet, but I can't live with that anymore. Another testimony, then another, and another. The room was in absolute silence. Trevor grabbed Kellerman's arm. Do something, but Laura wasn't finished yet. And finally, Your Honor, I present Exhibit C, Golden Oak Corporation tax records showing transfers of $340,000 to a shell company called Blue Ridge Consulting, registered in the Cayman Islands. No employees, no address, just money laundering. David projected the bank documents onto the screen. Every transaction, every date, every offshore account. Judge Mitchell leaned forward, his face closed. Mr. Kellerman, is your client aware of these allegations? Kellerman was pale, leafing through papers desperately. Your Honor, I need a recess to... Denied. The judge cut in. Mrs. Tan, is there more? Laura stepped forward, holding a sealed envelope. Yes, Your Honor. This morning I received a formal complaint from the IRS Darrell, requesting full investigation of Golden Oak Corporation for tax evasion and money laundering. The investigation has been open since 7 a.m. today. Trevor stood up abruptly, his chair falling back. That's a lie. You set this all up. Silence. The judge banged the gavel. Mr. Lawson, sit down immediately, or you will be removed for contempt. Trevor staggered, sitting up slowly, his face red with anger and panic. The judge turned to Laura. Mrs. Tan, what is your request? Immediate dismissal of the case against my client. Payment in full of a $100,000 check as per original agreement, and opening a criminal investigation against Trevor Lawson for fraud, extortion, and money laundering. The judge looked at the documents, to the screen, for Trevor. Then the hammer hit. Case archived. Mr. Chen, you are free from all charges. Mr. Lawson, the $100,000 check will be honored immediately. Furthermore, I am referring this case to the public prosecutor's office for full criminal investigation. This hearing is closed. The room erupted in murmurs. Trevor was frozen in his chair, his face white as paper. Kellerman tried to speak, but no sound came out. Marcus stood up slowly. Laura squeezed his shoulder. You won. But Marcus didn't smile yet. He walked to Trevor's desk, stood right in front of him, and said quietly, just so Trevor could hear, You called me fat. Of entertainment. He said people like you make the rules. Marcus leaned over. But you forgot that people like me know the rules better than you ever will, and now the whole world knows who you really are. Trevor opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Marcus turned and walked towards the exit, where Emma was waiting with David. She ran and hugged her father. You won, Daddy. Marcus lifted her into his arms, finally smiling. I won, darling. We won. As they left the courtroom, cell phones around them began to vibrate. Video of the hearing was already spreading, not just the meat challenge, but everything. The recording, the testimonials, The investigation. Trevor Lawson was ruined, and Marcus Chen, the man he tried to crush, was standing, stronger than ever. 3 weeks later, Marcus Chen stood on the stage at Grant Park Pavilion in front of 800 people. The event was the launch of the new Chef's Justice program, an initiative he and Laura Tan had created to help food industry workers report corporate abuses without fear of retaliation. Jennifer Reyes was next to him. David Ortega filmed everything. Emma watched from the front row wearing a t-shirt that said, "My dad is a hero." Marcus held the microphone, breathing deeply. 3 weeks ago, I was humiliated in an upscale restaurant by a man who thought money made him untouchable. He called me fat. He challenged me publicly. And when I won, he tried to destroy me using the system he believed he controlled. Marcus paused, looking at the cameras. But he made a mistake. He didn't know I wasn't alone, that there are people willing to fight, and that justice, when done correctly, is more powerful than any bank account. The audience applauded. Trevor Lawson lost everything, not because I wanted revenge, but because he built an empire on lies, abuse, and greed. And when you do that, eventually the foundations crumble. News about Trevor had dominated Chicago for weeks. The IRS has frozen all of Golden Oak Corporation's accounts. 7 restaurants closed. 16 former employees filed collective labor lawsuits. The criminal investigation revealed not only money laundering, but tax fraud of more than $2 million over 5 years. Trevor Lawson was indicted on 7 federal crimes. His Lake Forest mansion was for sale, your yacht, confiscated. His wife had filed for divorce, and the video of the court hearing had 18 million views, making it a national joke. But what really destroyed Trevor wasn't the criminal charges. It was public humiliation. The same people he had humiliated for years now recognized him on the street and laughed in his face. Restaurants refused to serve it. Clubs canceled their membership. Even his lawyer, Kellerman, had publicly broken the contract, saying he does not represent criminals. Trevor Lawson was alone, broken, destroyed, exactly like he had tried to do with Marcus. Marcus finished his speech and got off the stage. Laura was waiting for him with an envelope. The check has been cleared. $100,000 as promised. Additionally, you received $340,000 in collective workers' compensation from Golden Oak as a pro rata distribution to former employees. You were the main loser, so you got the lion's share. Marcus looked at the envelope, almost in disbelief. Is this real? Very real. And there's more? Laura smiled. 3 TV producers between were in contact. They want to make a documentary about their story, and the Food Network offered a pilot show called Iron Justice. You would travel the country helping abused chefs expose corrupt restaurants. Marcus blinked. I don't know what to say. Say yes. You deserve it, Marcus. He looked at Emma, who was running towards him with an ice cream in her hand, smiling like he hadn't seen her in years. Daddy, Aunt Laura said we'll be able to buy a house. Marcus lifted her into his arms, his eyes shining. Come on, darling. A house with a yard, and you will have your own room. That night, Marcus returned to the Ember Kitchen, the small restaurant where he worked before everything happened. The owner, Mr. Raymond, welcomed him with a tight hug. You don't need to go back, Marcus. Everyone knows you're going to be famous now. Marcus shook his head. I don't do this for fame, Mr. Raymond. I do it because I love cooking, and because here I'm just Marcus, not Iron Stomach, not the internet hero, just the guy who makes the best ragu in Chicago. Raymond smiled, his eyes teary. Then you will always have a place here. Marcus tied his apron and entered the kitchen. The smell of sautéed garlic, fresh thyme, and baking bread filled his lungs. That was it. This was his place. Not the spotlight, not the courts, but there, creating something honest with his own hands. While preparing dinner that night, David appeared at the back door holding his laptop. You need to see this. On the screen, a new video, posted 2 hours ago. It was Trevor Lawson, alone, in an empty apartment, shaggy hair, deep dark circles. He spoke directly to the camera. I was an idiot, an arrogant one. I thought money made me better than everyone else. I humiliated people. I destroyed careers. And when I found someone who wouldn't bend, I tried to crush them. Marcus Chen taught me that dignity is priceless, that justice is inevitable, and that when you build an empire on cruelty, it crumbles. I deserve everything that's happening to me. The video ended. Marcus turned off his laptop and went back to the kitchen. Because he didn't need Trevor's confession. He already had everything that mattered. Your daughter, your dignity, your peace, and the certainty that no matter how many times the world tried to bring you down because of your body, your weight, your appearance, he would always get up. Because Marcus Chen wasn't defined by what people saw when they looked at him. He was defined by what he did when no one was looking, and that no arrogant millionaire could take from him. 6 months later, Emma was sitting in the studio audience watching the pilot for Iron Justice being filmed live. Marcus was on stage helping a Miami cook expose a boss who stole employee tips. When the cameras turned off, Emma ran over to him. "You were amazing, Daddy." Marcus hugged her, kissing her forehead. "Everything I do is for you, darling. I know, and I'm proud." That night before going to sleep, Emma asked, "Daddy, have you forgiven that bad man?" Marcus thought for a moment. "I didn't have to forgive him, darling. I just moved on. Because holding on to anger only hurts those who carry it. He has already suffered the consequences. Now he has to learn to live with them." Emma nodded, closing her eyes. Marcus stayed there, sitting on the edge of the bed, watching his sleeping daughter. And then he whispered, more to himself than to her, "The best revenge is not destroying those who hurt you. It's building a life so incredible that they become irrelevant." And that's exactly what Marcus Chen did. He didn't just win, he transcended. And in the process, he taught the world a lesson that Trevor Lawson would never learn. Dignity cannot be bought. Respect is not required. And justice, when done truthfully, always prevails. If this story inspired you, subscribe to the channel for more stories of courage, justice, and overcoming, because everyone deserves to be seen for who they really are, not what they appear to be.